Holden, thanks so much, man, for hopping on the Next Level Minds podcast.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's good to meet you.
Yeah, man. How's the week been for you so far? I know we had some reschedules from both of our sides, so glad to be here with you.
Yeah, it's been busy. We're doing a lot here in town in Fuquay. I'm a Fuquay local and the town's growing. So we're definitely doing a lot of events here and working, networking, constantly networking. So definitely busy.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I think a good leading question, and you're probably like the youngest dude I've had on the podcast at
Awesome.
16 years old. So I love that. And I know you have your company, Coastal Cool. So before we go into like how did you think of the idea and the brand in general? Like, I would love for you just to kind of go about like the importance of entrepreneurship at an early age, and then how you kind of like balance being in school, what, like 8 to 3 or whatever it is, and then the
Yeah.
business and all that.
Yeah, so definitely. I'll start off kind of with my story.
Yeah.
So I was 12 years old. It was right at the beginning of COVID. I was in sixth grade. I was bored, and I've always had kind of like this creative mindset. I never thought I'd be in the fashion industry or doing swimwear or anything like that, but I had an idea, and we actually moved to the beach kind of full time during COVID. I was out of school. It was online, and I loved the idea of summer beachwear almost in the sense, and I started designing some little t-shirts and it kind of started from there and we got the LLC and we formed it. And this was early of 2020 and I was 12 and we actually launched the business on my 13th birthday and that was August 11th. And that's a number for me because that was when we started four years ago. So I kind of just took this idea and we started off selling t-shirts and hoodies. And this was kind of the basic foundation for Coastal Cool.
Dude, yeah, and I would love if you could touch on like where you're at, because you talked about like your Instagram page and what I mean that's amazing to see like the growth, especially at an early age.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we started, we were selling basic apparel. It was t-shirts, hoodies. I was designing everything. And we do actually a print on demand flow. So we have a
Hmm.
warehouse in Charlotte that packages print and everything on demand. So we don't have an upfront cost of inventory. Right now, I completely transformed the brand. We went from originally t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, basic apparel, and now we're in sustainable swimwear and beachwear. So our line is made from 90% recycled polyester, which is designed from recycled plastic bottles. And I took our social media game increase. We started working with influencers to promote our product. I started talking to editors and putting my name out there and kind of selling myself for the face of the brand. The 16-year-old kid who started it, right? That's kind of the headline. And I just began to market it. And we really kind of blew up on social media and started to become known late summer of last year. Actually, that was kind of what set us up on the map. So last week alone, we had on the Coastal Cool Instagram, we had around 245,000 people just reach our account alone with zero paid advertising. I spend $0 on Facebook ads, Instagram ads, because I kind of learned I can't compete against the big guys, right? Obviously, I don't have the capital to start out for that, but we work with large, small influencers to promote our product and they promote it. Other influencers see it, they want to join in, and we keep going. And we've got this kind of assembly line of influencers promoting the impact and the mission of Coastal Cool to their platforms. And the number of engagement and people seeing our page and seeing me as a company owner just keeps going up, and I love to see it. So
Dude, that's really cool. And I like how you've recognized the fact that like you and I both can't compete with,
yeah,
the Peter Millars of the world or the,
absolutely,
Billabongs of the world that have these like multi-million dollar ad budgets.
100%.
But like you started on like a really cool micro scale of like, let's just start with some, smaller influencers and
Yeah,
have them like you talked about a key thing, spread the mission. So I would love for you to talk about kind of that growth of like how you built those relationships and then how you got people that actually like align with the mission. Cause I hate when I see an influencer be like, try out this pin. And I'm like, dude, you don't vibe with that at all. So how did you have
100.
that medium?
100%. Well, I'll start off. I wanted influencers that align with me, my values, and the company's values. That was step one. And finding them was just a simple cold email or cold direct message on Instagram, sharing my story as an entrepreneur, the story and the mission of the brand, and just connecting. There is no risk in taking emailing somebody, sending them a letter, writing them something on Instagram. They either respond or they don't. You're not losing money, you're not spending money. It's just a risk to take time to email them. And what the chances of them responding are most likely high, whether it's a yes or no, right? And just getting that connection and that mutual relationship right through an Instagram direct message, like I said, or email or any of that. I started to build relationships, and then those relationships led to other relationships. And most of the influencers that I have promoting my content reached out for other influencers for me to team up with them because they love the story so much. And like I said, it just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah, I like that too. And like one thing that you talked about is just you're not afraid to like take the risk of like
Yep,
it's just an email or it's just a phone call.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, that's really cool to like hear from your age too, because like I coach a lot of younger people as part of kind of the Next Level Minds brand, and
Yeah.
one of the biggest obstacles I see people from like 15 to probably like 20 deal with is like they're scared of rejection, they're scared of risk, they're scared of being told no. So could you kind of talk about how you navigate through those emotions, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when I first started, I was terrified of taking risks. I mean,
Mm,
starting a business at 12 years old was one of the most terrifying things because everyone looked at me like I was crazy. But as the company began to scale and I began to scale as an entrepreneur, a business owner, a student, I began to learn that it was a risk that I took to start the business. And it
mhm.
played out very well. And then that initial risk that I took led me to also take the step for other risks. And in my case, we have a pretty low budget company. We don't really spend that much. So I've learned along the way, like I said, there's no risk in taking reaching out to somebody or any of that. And I think that truly helped me starting the company at such a young age because it taught me so many things. It taught me to take risks and to see outside of the box and to be able to reach new heights and use my experiences to connect with other people and do this and that and this and that. And I think people my age are so scared of that because they don't have the experience of taking risks. I don't think they're set. I had an opportunity to take a risk and I did. And I think a lot of people are lacking that, whether they put themselves in the opportunity or whether opportunities even come to them in the sense. So
So it sounds like what I'm getting at here is like taking the risk, and like it gets a bit easier as you just take one after the other for the other, right?
you kind of learn how it treats you. The risk kind of goes around you in the sense of you start to
Mm.
become more comfortable with it and comfortable stepping outside the box and doing different things and talking to new people. And it continues to get better. And I've seen it with me as a personal entrepreneur, as I've taken risks with the company, that's also led me to taking risks and different stuff with school and just branching out as a person overall.
Yeah. I think you took a risk when it looked like you pivoted from like normal clothes
Yep.
to more of the swimwear, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it was early kind of spring-ish of 2022. I was ready to actually shut down the company because
Mm.
I was bored. It was t-shirts and hoodies and basic stuff that you can find anywhere. And I just wanted something more. I wanted more of an impact and I wanted to be able to kind of add a mission to the brand, right? And that's when I pivoted the brand Coastal Cool into sustainable swimwear and fashion. And it kind of moved the whole focus. And that was a big risk taking a product collection and a product line and a brand overall and completely rebranding it is difficult. And we were only at that time, second year in business to completely rebrand and completely shift the product overall is a huge risk. And I'm very grateful that I stuck with it and I kept pushing through because I mean, all could have gone wrong with that, right? But in the sense, I stuck with it. So,
Yeah. What was that process like? Were you like, okay, let's get rid of this product line and then let's
yep.
start reiterating? Like, what was that like? Because that's hard to pivot.
It was basically like I hated the collection that we had.
Mm.
I didn't feel connected to it in the sense. I think there was a lack of connection to me and the product overall. Once again, like you can find t-shirts and hoodies anywhere. And yes, you can with swimwear, but our swimwear is making an impact. And that's one thing that our t-shirts and hoodies weren't. They weren't sustainable, they weren't giving back, and they weren't designed from eco-friendly fabrics. And now we have a whole different approach. So
Yeah. And I feel like with swimwear, it's like you can make some really cool content
mhm.
versus like, I mean, hoodie, you're kind of like siloed of like alleyways and downtowns. With like swimwear, it's like you have the freaking beach and the boat, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And our design team takes ideas and puts it into literally reality. I mean, we've got these tropical prints. And
Mm.
that was another thing, like you said, with hoodies and stuff, you kind of got to be simple or minimal. That's kind of what sells. And swimwear, it's vibrant prints. You can have modern prints, you can have minimal prints, you can have a whole collection of versatile stuff. And that was the Coastal Cool goal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, how did you, and I'm curious, like you talked about this at the beginning, but I feel like a lot of people get held back from like idea to
Yep.
execution, like 0 to 1 type of mentality. So, Can you kind of talk through that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just I saw a vision and I saw
Yeah.
it in my head and I kept seeing it and I was like, I'm gonna work with it. And in my age, I have so much time. If I take the risk now with all the time I have, I've got a life ahead of me. Obviously, right now I'm not stuck in a job. School, high school's not the easiest, but it's not the hardest, right? So I've got the time and stuff. So I wanted to take a step forward and utilize an opportunity that I had to build something, utilize my time at home when I was so young, right? And to form this company. And I think that really it helped me actually as a student too, being able to take a risk with the company. It helped me learn more. Like I said again, step outside the box. So
Yeah, man. I think like business education I feel like is important, but I feel like you learn way more from actually
it's
like
true.
doing and experiences.
100%. And that's what I tell everybody and people my age. They always ask me, how do I do it? And I said, put yourself in opportunities. Once again, there's no risk in just reaching out to somebody. I put myself in so many opportunities that led me to absolutely great connections, which helped scale me once again as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, Coastal Cool itself. Just make connections, utilize your opportunities, utilize things that come at you, and do something good with it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you got to be ready for that opportunity of by working hard and staying dedicated and all that too.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, when an opportunity comes, you've got to stay with it. And that's one thing. And I think you asked that previously. How do I manage it with school? It's difficult.
Mm.
Um, but obviously it's my passion and I'm going to prioritize that. And it's something that's important to me. And I prioritized it when we rebranded and I saw how far it came. And this is just the beginning for it. School is kind of difficult to manage the stuff, but I make do on during classes. I'll be answering emails. Sometimes I'll step out to do a phone call, and my teachers are very open to doing it, which are absolutely amazing. I've had a lot of teachers that have supported me along my journey, whether they purchase the stuff or they let me work and utilize free time to help me focus on my passion and what I love doing.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have to have that support system around you, which is super important.
Absolutely. When I first started, there really wasn't much support other than my family, my
Mm.
mom, my dad, and my sister. That was kind of the early support for it, because everyone looked at me like I was crazy. And honestly, if I saw a 12-year-old entrepreneur with no experience in an industry, I would look at them like you're crazy. But I had this passion, and I kept pushing it, and I kept doing it. And a lot of people my age at my school and in our community are very interested in what I'm doing. And it's now my goal with this whole thing is to share it, tell my story, help some other young entrepreneurs kind of in the same boat that I was in. And if I can do that and impact anyone, people my age in the sense of taking that risk, like you said, starting a business, making a connection, getting to a new height, I'm all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny. Like you talked about how the family was on board, mom, dad, sister, teachers are slowly starting to get more and more on board. But
Yeah.
how do you deal with like just people that kind of hate on you for putting yourself out there? Because I think that holds people back too of like opinions of others.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had some encounters where people take the headlines and stuff they see in the media and the press about me and they form their own opinions. I've had a
Mm.
few stuff of that students and adults look at me differently just because of what they read online, or they're like the spoiled rich kid, or they're all that kind of stuff. And I've just learned to ignore it because I've seen how far I've come. I've seen the impact I've made. I've seen the people actually take an interest in me. So I must be doing something right in this sense. And I am more than happy anybody that asks me to hear the story, to hear what I did. And the stuff that like the night stuff, hardworking and all that stuff, I'm more than happy to talk to them about it. But there's so many people that just form opinions based off of something they read. And it's hard, especially when you're a student and you're in an environment where learning and stuff and kind of the normal, right? I'm a high school kid, so I've still got to deal with kind of balancing all of that. So
Dude, yeah, I mean, people are like, oh, he got lucky or this, or
yeah,
oh, he's in high school, he doesn't have to pay like rent. But it's like, well, why didn't you start something in high school when you had the opportunity to do
exactly,
so?
exactly.
Like,
And I mean, there's so many attributes and factors that went into making me successful and being able to be an entrepreneur at such a young age. And people kind of look at it differently, and I don't know why, because it's something different. I'm trying to be something for myself and trying to
yeah.
take a risk. And if I looked at anybody doing the same thing that I was doing or wanting to start a business, I'd be like, you go, like push it, like keep going. I would want to motivate them and hype them rather than bringing them down in the sense, because I think we need people in today's age, especially my age, to start leading this country and doing different things and taking opportunities. Like I said, there's a lack of that. There's a lack of connection between people actually doing what they love and just
Mhm.
doing what's normalized.
Mhm.
And I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah, man. I mean, the normal approach is like go to school, go to college, get a job you most likely don't like, and work for
Yep.
40 years. And there's so many different pathways if you can like find what you love, which actually brings me to this question of like, how do you find what you're passionate about, whether you're like 15 or
Yeah.
50? I feel like people are always trying to figure out like, how can I turn what I love into a business? So what would you say there?
My biggest thing, and this could go either way for some people, is I love people. I love talking with people. I love seeing people. When people hear the story, they see me. When people actually take an interest and people love the product, that's what I think is true success. Seeing people enjoy the product, enjoy what you're doing, taking an interest. I think that's truly the answer to that. So.
Yeah. So if like somebody doesn't know what they love, would you just say kind of like put yourself out there, keep
Put
trying new
yourself, yeah,
things?
take an opportunities and take the risk of figuring out what you like and you don't like. And I'm not the best for doing that. There's a lot of stuff that I have yet to try,
Yeah.
but down the line, I want to try it. And because you kind of live life once, and especially when you're young, utilize the opportunities, do different things, put yourself in uncomfortable situations in the sense of just getting an idea and a sense of reality on certain things in life. So.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And like I love what you're doing because it's very tied to a mission and a vision. It's not just like you're starting, an NFT to make a quick
Yeah,
buck, right?
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
you have this vision and like that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on. I mean, I get hit up like probably 10 times a week by random
I
people.
bet.
And then you hit me up and I was like, dude, I'm gonna read this message. And I was like, oh man, like started this at 12 years old, 16 now, crushing it. And I could just tell you're passionate. And I was like, man, if he's reaching out to me at like 16, when that's
Yeah.
a bit scary to just reach out to like media firms and podcasts, like he's a good one to have on the show. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the amount of I've said this for so long, but if you were to give me a room full of people my age and a room full of adults, I'll go to the room full of adults any day because I can learn something from them. I can actually relate to them with something and I can actually hold a conversation. There's such a lack of that in people my age. You can't hold a conversation with anybody. And I've spoken to a lot of editors. I've reached out to a lot of editors. I've spoken on the phone. I've done other podcasts and stuff, and it's just speaking, having a relationship, and there's such a lack of that. Like I said, like most people can't do right now what we're doing, a 16-year-old talking to an like there's a divide in that 100%. So
hey, there's some like 30-year-olds that don't know how to
yeah,
have conversations. It's crazy.
absolutely. And I saw you, and I was like, I love this impact and this mission. And if there's a way that I can use my platform to hit a reach and his platform can help me hit a reach, and the fact that we could cross collaborate and do this and kind of hit some people, hit and try to hit the youth market in the sense of inspiring some other people. So
Yeah, man. And that leads me to a good point of like, I used to think entrepreneurship was just like locking yourself in a room for like 15 hours and not
yeah,
talking to anybody. And you will have days like that where you have to like get a product launched or have an investor pitch where you have to spend 15 hours creating a slide deck. But like, it's so about community and relationships too.
100%. I mean, entrepreneurship, if I picked one key word, I would say relationships.
Yeah.
That's what takes you to the next level. It's not you can know a million things, and yes, education and knowing things are important, but it's who you know and the network that you build and this tree of connections and the tree of relationships. That's what gets you to the next level. And I've met so many great people along the way. I've been introduced to so many great people. I've learned from so many people, and I've wanted to learn from so many people, especially when I've entered an industry that I knew nothing about. And I'm
Mm.
learning stuff with you right now, learning different industries and talking about money and business and all that. And that's something that I think is super important. Hearing from people that are 10 steps ahead of you, right? That I think that's truly important. Kind
Yeah.
of follow what's leading, follow the people that are doing the big stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's the quickest way to get where you want to go is just find somebody who's built what you want and just kind of follow in their footsteps. And also like I've learned to taking it and kind of run with it. Like sometimes I'll get advice from like mentors of mine that are 10 years ahead of me. I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna take, these four things and run with it. This one might not apply to
Yeah.
me, but these four will at the
Yeah.
same time.
100%. You kind of just weigh it and you test it. I'm a big tester. Test what's working, test what's not, testing what to say, testing what not to say, testing what to post.
Mhm.
Just kind of run some tests, see how it goes, see how the people are actually engaging with it and looking at it and what they like. It's all about the people at the end of the day. And I would say I'm almost a salesman in the sense because I'm always talking with people and I'm networking and I'm selling my product and I'm selling myself as an entrepreneur. And you've got to be a good, you got to sell, sell.
Dude, I always say like no matter what industry you're in, whether you're in like engineering or marketing or run your own business, like you need to
Learn
learn
to sell.
sales because you have to sell yourself through conversations.
100%. And for 2 years, 3 years really straight, I wasn't selling myself. I wasn't putting myself out there because I was very hesitant in the sense of kind of exactly what happened, having people form weird opinions on me or negative opinions and not truly looking into who I am as a person rather than just the entrepreneur and the pe person they see online. I was very hesitant of that. But the moment that I kind of got a platform and I started putting myself out there, the reach of positivity was so much larger than the reach of negativity in the sense many people, I mean, my Instagram following has continued to grow. News media outlets I've continued to work with, and they've said that there's been great reach with the articles they've written and everything. And so there's definitely positivity around it.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. So, would you mind touching on like maybe any a few adversities or like setbacks that you had to navigate? I know one of the big ones was like rebranding and having
Yep.
this new product line, but like I would love if you could maybe touch on another one.
Yeah, definitely starting a business during COVID, especially the
Oof.
start of COVID, was one of the hardest things ever. But luckily, our print on demand work allowed us to, for me, not to be having to print stuff and be able to have those upfront costs. So we were able to have a flow during COVID and be able to still operate as a company while other companies were shutting down and not being open because they couldn't survive, right? And I think one of the other setbacks for me was kind of being so young. A lot of people, like I said, looked at me like I was crazy. And it is what it is, but we're past that section. We still got some, but definitely the setback was being young and people looking at you differently because you're a young entrepreneur until you've actually built something. Like if you have a small business to start out with, people look at it, nothing because it's baby era, it's growing, right? So, and then I think the third thing for a setback is not having a lot of capital to start. I mean, I started with $500 and it got me the limited liability company form, and that was from my parents, and I paid them back a long time ago. But there's no capital in the sense of spending a lot on advertising and doing all this. So I've had to learn to adapt and I've had to learn to utilize other resources and stuff to promote me and promote the brand.
I was gonna say, I bet that $500 was just to get the formulation of the company
Yep. Yep.
started.
Yeah, it was
That's funny.
super. I think we got the LLC August 6th, I'm pretty sure, and we launched on August 11th. So,
Mm.
and the forming of the company foundation was a good 3 to 4 months of planning, seeing market, doing a lot of market research and reaching out to a lot of people. And this was 4 years ago now. And once again, started off selling t-shirts and hoodies, kind of basic and starting off small and growing big. So
Yeah, no, I love that, man. I love the whole print on demand. Like, is that what you would suggest to anybody that wants to do anything apparel related to do that avenue?
I absolutely love it. You're going to have to charge higher, obviously, because they're taking more of
Mm.
the cost because they're printing and packaging. But if you really do look into the industry and look how expensive and how much time consuming, it's really working smarter and not harder in the sense because I could be spending so much time having to order inventory, be printing, worrying about shipping, taking it where, and the fact that they can do it all and have this flow of business from when you go to our site, purchase it, be able to ship out in 2 to 3 days and get within your foot in a 5 day turnaround is absolutely amazing with just me controlling it from my laptop. It's really working smarter and being able to utilize a resource in the sense of getting that product to the people.
Yeah, and then it frees up your time to do more like strategic business operations.
100%. So you're gonna have higher chunks taken out of your think, but if you look at everything they're doing, it's saving you time, and is time is money.
Yeah.
100%. So
So when you don't know something, especially when you first started out, and I'm sure, and I do too, where you have like days and situations where you're like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know this,
yeah.
this, this. Like, how do you find the answer?
Kind of just once again trial and error, and
Yeah.
I've Google has really helped me in the sense of YouTube learning, listening to a lot of podcasts, listening to a lot of people. I'm not really a big reader book wise, but I'm a big believer in listening to podcasts. I love listening to podcasts and hearing from entrepreneurs and other people like we're doing right now, and I hope for me to be able to do that for somebody else, but definitely just seeing, learning from others' mistakes and learning from other people's opportunities and seeing where do I fit in with that group, right? There's tons of entrepreneurs and there's tons of people to hear from, and everyone's different. Everyone's story is different. So, but you'll definitely find some struggle along the way that's similar to another entrepreneur.
Mm. Yeah, that's the cool thing about the internet. It's like, if you want to know something, it's out there. If you want to hear a story, it's out there. If you want to like hear how somebody else started an apparel company, it's out
Yeah.
there.
It's out there 100%. And that was one thing when all the press came out and all the media stuff, it connected me with other entrepreneurs and other people saw it. They're like, wow, other people in the industry, higher top brands reached out to me. Actually, competitors reached out to me in the sense to talk to me about my product and talk to me about my brand. And they helped me. They told me how to market it. They told me certain
Mm.
things to do that helped them. And I utilized that. It's free. Once again, it's free. You're just having a conversation with somebody. You're listening to somebody who's done it with experience. And like you said in the beginning, experience is everything. You can know so much, but actually getting your hands in the work and your hands in an opportunity, that's where you're going to learn stuff.
Yeah, agreed. And it's just having the courage to go out there and actually like take that step from 0 to 1 and know that you're going to learn throughout the way.
Absolutely. It's just taking that first step. And that first step is one of the hardest steps. But the steps as you continue, I wouldn't say they get easier, but you get more comfortable with it. And the comfortability in industries allow you to be able to progress more, I think. If you're familiar with certain things. And I'm a strong believer in being uncomfortable, but it's also good to be comfortable because it helps you continue to push forward and push
Yeah.
forward. So,
Yeah, yeah. How do you navigate distractions that are out there? Because like there's social media, there's friends, there's I remember being 16, there's parties to go to.
yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff that you can do outside of the business. So like how do you stay like dialed in and focused when there's a million different things going on?
There's a lot of distractions, but I always think about like if I'm watching TV or scrolling through Instagram Reels, and I'm not the best person for to speak on it, but I always think of I'm making somebody else richer.
Mm,
I'm like, I'll be watching Netflix. I'm like, I'm giving somebody a view. I'm spending 2 hours of my time making somebody else a few more $1 million, or scrolling through an Instagram reel, making somebody more popular and famous, which is just benefiting them. What am I getting out of it? Self-pleasure, especially when I have something that I could keep growing. So I focus on what's important. Again, I look at an opportunity. I'm like, why would I be giving money to him in my time? Like I said, time is money. Why would I be giving my time and my money to somebody else that's already making a lot? Why don't I work on what's important now and what I've got going for me now? And I definitely say the friendship wise, it's been very hard to connect with just other people my age. My
mm,
friend group is very small because it's not a lot of people are doing what I'm doing. So it's hard to relate with a lot of people. And I'd say my closest friends are probably adults and people that I look up to. And I keep my circle very close for that reason, just because you never know who's just hopping around you and hanging out with you to benefit or something.
yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that just want to mooch onto other people and just kind of ride with them in the sense, and without actually understanding who they are and being on a good relationship term. So
Yeah, man, I love like everything you mentioned there. That's a really good point. I've never heard that before of like you're making somebody else rich by like watching the reel or
yeah,
Instagram. That's or
I
watching the reel or Netflix. That's so cool.
coming from a business owner, I know about the clicks and I know about people using traffic and social media. And why would I be supporting somebody else in the sense
Mhm.
of these big corporations? TikTok's making money from advertisements, Instagram's making money from advertisements and customer reach. And if I can utilize that in that time and to benefit myself and to benefit my company to continue to scale, it's all about prioritizing what's important. So.
Yeah. Dude, yeah. And another perspective I have very similar, but it's like if you're watching Netflix and watching TV and sleeping in and doing all the things that you shouldn't do, and you look at your life in the 5 areas: business health, financial health, spiritual health, mental health, physical health, and you're like, I'm not where I want to be in any of those areas or even one of those areas, then why in the world are you wasting your time watching TV, Netflix, all this stuff?
Yeah, and you kind of took the words because I was trying to phrase something like that, and you did that absolutely perfect. If you're lacking in something, why are you pushing it aside? If it's truly
Yeah.
important to you and you truly think it's something that you need to do and make a shift in your life, you're going to prioritize it. I prioritize the gym every day, an hour
Nice.
workout, lift weights. I'm on a very strict diet, very strict training schedule, but all of that stuff I prioritize, but that's also allowed me to do so many things and be confident and be ready to work and to be ready and just disciplined overall. And that discipline led me to continue to grow the company, continue to grow as a person, and to kind of take risks in the sense you're kind of hitting a PR, right? All those PRs you hit in the gym, crush it at business, crush it at making new connections, crush it talking to people, just 10x whatever you're doing. That's one of the big things I say, just 10x it. So.
Yeah, dude, it's so crazy the correlation that like strong physical health and mental health have with just success in business.
Yep, and I think you posted something on LinkedIn that I saw, I think like a week ago. It was something about the health. And
Mm.
the moment I got in good shape, the moment I started going to the gym, my mind was clear and my mind was ready to rock and roll. It helped me in school, it helped me in business, and it helped me as a person, really. So,
Yeah, dude, I was traveling in Mexico. I was at a resort and I was at the gym one morning. It was like 8:39. Obviously didn't
yeah,
go at like 5 like I normally
yeah,
do on vacation, but I'm at the gym and I'm like meeting a couple people and like everybody that I met just happened to be like successful, whether it's business or sales or just life. And I'm like,
yeah.
there's a correlation here while you guys are at the
Yeah.
gym.
It's a dedication. That's what
Yeah.
it is. And most of the successful people are dedicated
Mm.
and they take time for themselves. And it's not selfish in any way. Taking time for yourself helps you clear your mind and just be able to progress more and to be able to push more, I think. So I think the prioritizing health in a lot of people is one of the biggest factors of success because
Yeah.
once again, it builds discipline and you got to be disciplined to do and to take risks and to step outside the box. You have to be confident too, and working out is definitely a confidence booster, whether it's from the start and it's hard work, but as you see that progress of your body changing, of your physical health changing, as your mental health changes, that progress leads to so much more.
Dude, that was a value drop right there for sure.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you brought up health because I was going to ask you about it, but you just started bringing it up naturally, which is even better at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
It's something that's important to me. The brand, my health, being physically healthy, and being physically healthy led to being mentally healthy. And
Mm.
I think mentally healthy also correlates with being physically healthy. I think just having a clear state of mind, that discipline, that confidence, the perseverance to do things, all go head to head with mental and physical health.
Yeah, 100%, man. So let me ask you this. Talking to you, you're extremely well spoken. You have this successful business. You are very confident, obviously, which we just talked about. If I didn't know your age, I would think you were like late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
So, what do you think like young men are just missing right now? Like, where's the gap between you and everybody else? And I know you're not just some special God-given angel, right? You're just
Hey,
a normal dude like everybody
yep.
else. So, like,
I'm
where's this gap happening right now? Because not everyone's like you at all.
Yeah, I think it's just definitely being kind of locked in with your phone. I think that
Mm,
it's just a distraction. I think people are so distracted by what's normal, like we said in the beginning, and playing sports and doing good grades and just kind of everyone's stuck in this normal mode. There's no risk taking because there's no role models. I think that's the biggest thing, having a role model or somebody that takes the leap and learning from that person. I think a lot of guys just they are like, I can't do it because no one else is doing it. And I think that's the reason why you should do it because nobody else is doing it. Utilize the opportunity. I think that's a huge point. I think a lot of people are uncomfortable with the fact because it's not normal. It's not normal. So, and I think people are so stuck in that nowadays of just being stuck in your phone and not having actual conversations with people talk wise, not being able to shake somebody's hand. All of that, I think, is just distractions. And I think people just fall in and you've got to learn. You've got to see somebody else do it, or you've got to be impacted by somebody else to do it to take that step.
yeah. Man, it sounds like you have that as a big motivator in your life to lead the way for others, right?
100%. And in the beginning, like I said, I love people.
Yeah.
I love seeing people happy. I love helping other people and seeing other people grow, whether it's through business or just being a human, right? Just seeing people make a positive impact. I think that's always been something that stuck with me. And having this company and becoming an entrepreneur at such a young age and still being a student has inspired a lot of people, and I've touched a lot of people, and that's kind of the mission overall, and I love seeing it. So.
Yeah, I love that, dude. And I think as you start to see your brand grow and more people impacted, and 5 years from now, you see somebody else start their own company that
Well,
learned from you, like that's going to be even more fuel to the fire that you already have.
100%. And that's the goal. Seeing other people
Yeah.
do it, kind of build a community of people taking risks, especially young people, and stepping outside the box, doing something different, getting outside of the normal. Just because we're young, we got time to recover. We're not stuck in,
Yeah.
house payments and car payments and all that. We've got a good time to be able to do something. And if all goes wrong, you have a lot of time to learn more and to utilize other opportunities. So I definitely recommend starting young.
Yeah.
100.
Agreed, dude. And that's where I see a lot of people get into trouble. Like, so I'm 28, and
Okay.
this is kind of the phase of your life, even if you're in corporate America or business, where you start to make like some serious cash if you're playing your cards right. And I see people getting caught in like lifestyle inflation of like buying the bigger house, the nicer car, the boat. And I'm
Yep,
like, that's just more things that give you less of a chance of taking a risk because
absolutely.
now you have a four thousand
Liability.
dollar a month house payment versus a $1,200 a month
Yep.
house payment. So
Liabilities, and I've spoken to people worth billions and millions, and one thing they share in common is they're disciplined, but they know what they're worth. They don't have to prove anything to anybody. They don't have to show it off because they know the value that they bring to the table every day. They know what they're capable of doing and kind of how smart they are in the sense they most successful people know how much they're worth, how much value
mm,
they bring. And there's no need to show off. And most of the people that have these extravagant things and stuff really have nothing, period, and it's all a distraction and it's all just trying to, I think it's a lot of insecurities, and I think it's because of the fact that they're not doing anything different. They're participating with what everybody else is doing, and the normalization is having the fun sports cars, going out partying, doing all this. I think it's all for other people rather than yourself.
yeah, agreed. It's for other people's opinions rather than your own kind of internal fulfillment. And I read some stat the other day that was like 79% of people making 100 grand a year are living paycheck to paycheck. I'm like, that's crazy. They're just like living so above their means at the end of the day.
100%. And everyone asks me, they're always like, "Oh, I bet you make a lot of money, all this stuff." And money's important to me, but what's important to me is doing what I love. That's
Mm.
100% in success. Wealth is being able to do what you love. I truly believe in that. The fact that you can enjoy what you're doing and not have to feel like it's a job or not have to feel like you're being forced to do it, that's success, 100%. And I think that's being rich because to be rich, there's a lot of people are stuck in doing stuff that they hate. And I think if you have the opportunity to do what you love, that's wealth right there, 100%.
Agreed, dude. And I think what's cool about your business is like I see so many people start small businesses and then they've just kind of like formed a job for themselves in the
Yeah.
business because they're doing a million different things. But you have like a system figured out with the print on demand, which saves you time, and you have
Yep.
the influencers figured out. So it's like you haven't, made yourself a job with your business, which is cool.
Absolutely. And it doesn't, even if I do every job from the marketing, from website management, product design, everything. I mean, I run everything on day-to-day basis, but it doesn't feel like a job because I love every minute of it.
Right.
And when it's doing well, it makes me want to push even more and love it even more. So, and I'm taking that as the founder and CEO, I'm taking the role of doing multiple parts and stuff, but it works out. So
Yeah, absolutely, man. So what's next for Coastal Cool?
yeah, so we're in a few wholesale retail stores in Florida, and the goal is to continue to expand those wholesale accounts, continue to grow our social media platform. We've got right now over around 150,000 followers across platforms.
Cool.
Keep growing that. That's our main source of revenue and sales. That's kind of our biggest sales channel, Instagram and Facebook, driving connections. And once again, we spend $0 on advertising, but I'm open to spending more because I've noticed the more I spend on stuff, I've gotten a better reach. So definitely continue to expand our growth social media wise, continue to expand our wholesale accounts. And I love doing what I do, but I definitely see this as a stepping stone to so much more in the future. Coastal Cool has grown tremendously. I'm going to keep growing it, but I do think this is just kind of the start to something else for me in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have like a 5 year vision you kind of have in your mind right now, or?
Yeah, so I've kind of in the stuck right now of whether I wanted to graduate early. So I'm a sophomore in high school, so I can kind of fit my senior year down over a summer and be out of there a year earlier.
Hmm.
And with that, I'd probably take a break, continue to grow the company, maybe travel around, kind of explore and be able to see different things and take some risks and kind of just have a breather from school and just kind of lock in. But then it's also like I don't want to miss out on a good time. So in high school.
Yeah.
It's hard. There's pros and cons to it, but what I've done so far alone makes me feel like I should keep pushing and take that risk of skipping out on some things and skipping out of things that are current and normal right now. But it's like it's hard. So
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, I'll tell you this, going out with friends when you have a lot more cash is way more fun than when you're cash strapped. So,
100%. And that's what I've said one thing, and my parents are kind of like about it, but I was like, I kind of want to work my butt off now
yeah.
and have fun later and be able to do certain things. Because, okay, let's say I make all this money now. I'm still young. There's so many things that I can't do. Literally, I can't do. But when I'm older, the possibilities are endless. And if I have that fundamental base of money and being able to be successful and live a good life when I'm older, I'm gonna take that. I'd choose that over right now and in the current. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love the vision you have. I mean, I feel like where if you still live in the same area, or even if you like move to a small little beach town, like feel like a little like retail shop and just build community on that would honestly pop off. You'd have to figure out the whole print on demand and kind of
yeah.
navigate that, but I feel like community that would help with that vision there too. So
That's 100% the vision. Getting like a small, nothing fancy, a small beach shop and just running it. That's kind of the dream overall. And if I
yeah.
could keep doing Coastal Cool and have that on the side and have a shop in person, that would be amazing. I would absolutely love that.
Yeah.
I got that vision right now.
Let's go. Cool, man. Let me ask you this as the final question. So let's say you're, walking around in Charlotte, meeting with your print on demand company, and you
Yeah.
see someone come up to you, he's like, "Hey, I heard you on Next Level Minds. Like, I'd love just some advice to get a company started. Let's say you're at a crosswalk, you got 30 seconds. What's
Well,
some just advice you would give this individual?"
all right. So I'd probably say four things. Trust your gut,
Mm,
100%. To utilize every opportunity, learn from other people. Third, probably just be able to take a risk, be disciplined. And fourth, like we talked about, being in your best mental and physical health, 100%, because that paves the way for so much more. So I think those four things are kind of success in itself. I'm not even speaking about the money. I think that's success, being disciplined, having opportunities, having connections as well, once again, and having all of that, I think is key to being something.
yeah, man, I love that. I love the first one you said too, of just like trust in your gut and
That's
realizing
it.
like
Yeah,
what can happen if you do that and take the risk with it.
it's there for a reason. I think we are as people. I think there's a path for us 100%, and I think some people find it early, some people find it late, and I think it's your calling. And I learned that from Jeff Bezos. He did a podcast actually speaking about that and kind of having a calling. And it's sometimes it's when you're young, sometimes it's when you're old. It's a mix, but the moment you get that, I think you should trust it and go with it because it's there for a reason. So,
Yeah, it's not put on your heart for
yep,
nothing.
absolutely 100%. So,
Yeah. Cool, brother. Well, this was a fun time, and I'm glad you reached out to me and we had this episode. I know my listeners got a ton of value from it, so I really appreciate you being on the show.
absolutely, it's an honor. And if I can help any young entrepreneur and old entrepreneur, anybody starting and wanting to learn more and take a risk, I would love to speak with anybody.
Cool,
Anybody
man.
that has interest.
J-
That's the goal.
just follow Coastal Cool, or where's the best place there?
Yeah, so you can follow us on Instagram at coastalcool underscore. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm big on there. I'm trying to continue to grow my platform on there. It's a great networking thing. So I'm Holden Bierman on LinkedIn, coastalcool underscore on Instagram. So definitely give us a follow and check us out. So
Absolutely, Holden. Thanks again for being on the show.
thank you, man. It was awesome.